Cutback for Vasilev, and Lukic! A banger of a strike for Jovan Lukic's first MLS goal!
It's fallen out to Westfield! Oh, wow! He's nearly taken the roof of the net off! Philadelphia pounce again!
Who gets his goal in his Union debut? The record signing, off and running in his first appearance for the club.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Across the Pitch on typically the AAT Sports Network. But today, Todd Lewis is allowing us to use the Free Kicks platform. Our AAT Sports colleagues are out there doing an Eagles show. The draft is coming up, so they're all birds, all Eagles right now. So we are using the Free Kick platform. But listen, I don't care what platform we're on. We have a lot to talk about tonight, Ben. The Philadelphia Union just had one of the most dramatic games we've seen in quite some time. They end up leaving Toronto with a 3-3 draw. Now, prior to tonight, if you told me the Union are going to go to Toronto, they're going to score 3 goals, they're going to get a draw, I'd be okay with it. But the way everything happened was extremely frustrating. So, Ben, first of all, how are you doing tonight? Give me your thoughts on tonight's match. We got some comments coming in. Let's get to this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. I think that before the game, I would have been happy with a draw, a point on the road, in a tough place to play, and a place where Toronto's been very good at home as of late, with comebacks as we saw tonight. But it was very disappointing. This is a new low in all the Union games we've seen. We've never seen a goalie score an equalizer at the last second. And yeah, just more frustration and very disappointing.
So really quick, for people who are watching on YouTube, because I'm not hosting this show, I can't bring your comments onto the screen. So I'm going to read them from the side and do my best that way. Drew Hartman says, keeper goal to death. Come on. I think that was just the overall vibe. Like, just absolutely, that's so Union type of performance today. Valerie says, normally I absolutely love them, not tonight. Jose's commenting as well on there. Drew Hartman again says the Kai kit. Yeah, I'm doing the Kai Wagner Birmingham City kit tonight. I appreciate it. Shaggy says Toronto's keeper now has more goals in MLS play than Damiani and Alado. Also, Shaggy, I want to add to that. This keeper from Toronto has more shots on target in MLS play than Alado. Just want to make sure that's crystal clear out there. Broken Bones, how are we doing tonight? Not great. Well, the Flyers won, or at least they're winning last time I checked, so that's great. Wolfie says, our defense is amazing. Drew Hartman, again, another draw, feeling like an L. Listen, I'm not really sure where to begin. However, on our show, we typically start with a starting 11, so let's start there. Let's have this conversation from before the kickoff even happened. We had tonight Andre Blake in net, Macania, Sari, Westfield, and Harrell once again starting on the back four. But Ben, tonight we saw something that we have been begging for. We had Lukic, Bueno, and Danley in tonight's starting lineup. Milan Olaski was up top next to Bruno Damiani. Indy Vasilev gets another start. He's in the other attacking mid with Danley. Your thoughts on finally seeing Carnell going with this 3 defensive midfielder approach, but putting Danley up as your 10?
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, we've been talking about it in the last couple of shows, and I think Bueno he's earned his role in this team to be a starter, and so I was very happy to see him there. And I think Alado really has not been performing. Last week there was not much chemistry up top with Damiani, so I like what Carnell did, moving Olaski up so we could fit Danley in. And I thought for the most part, it worked very well.
Yeah, I here's the thing though, Ben. I enjoyed the fact that we controlled, and let's focus on the first half like we typically do. We controlled most of the first half. We had the better chances. We kept Toronto on their side of the field, what felt like the entire first 30 minutes, probably, give or take. The set pieces, we also saw something a little different today. We saw Frankie Westfield taking some set pieces, and one of them was really just barely saved by the keeper. I think his name is Gavran, right, at this point. We should probably remember his name because he had a pretty significant impact on tonight's match. But the Union once again felt like a team who was in control, but just weren't quite getting that one last touch to get into the back of the net. On the other hand, yes, we exited the first half with a 1-0 lead, but Toronto had a couple chances, one from Sargent and one from another player. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. And I really do believe Toronto could have probably put one in the back of the net. But, I mean, before we get into further details, I just wanted to hear your thoughts on the first half, how you felt watching that. Because, again, I mean, on paper it felt good, but visually it felt like we were just not quite there.
Yeah, I think it was one of the best halves of football we played this season. The ball was always in Toronto's half, which was great. The attacking output was not there. We didn't see a goal in the first half. But yeah, the chances were there, whether it was Frankie's free kick. Or I guess I forgot. Olaski scored right before the half, but
right, yep.
Before that, yeah, a lot of chances. Toronto did have some of their own. The Sargent one, where the back line or it was really the midfield line, was put way too high, and it kind of felt like a practice drill or in training, because I guess it was like a 3-on-2 or something like that. And I think DeAndre Kerr had one as well that he missed. But yeah, I thought overall the Union dominated the first half, and I think it was rewarded with Olaski's goal.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I feel like Danley wasn't spectacular, but I felt like he was more involved than what we've seen so far in the Philadelphia Union offense. In particular, even from a hold-up play, there was one moment earlier in the first half where he was holding up the play, and he created a scoring, or at least a chance to get a shot on net. And I like the fact that Carnell did something different. I like that Carnell did something different with the set pieces. As Jillian mentions here, agree about Frankie needing to take some set pieces. It's nice the fact that Carnell's trying to do a few things differently. And as someone put the comment, I guess Jose did, I want to see less Damiani. Malik was more impactful in like 5 minutes. I'm at Zed's tonight. For those who don't know, Zed's is in Marlton. It's a small brewery. They're a union bar. But everyone in there was very frustrated with Bruno Damiani. Now, granted, for the Olaski goal, it was Bruno's hold-up play that gave Lukic the opportunity to get the assist, to get to Olaski the opportunity to score. But as Todd Lewis mentioned in his recent episode of The Free Kick, why are you even having strikers if they're not going to score goals, if they're not going to put a shot on target? Can we see midfielders do what Bruno Damiani is doing? And really what all Bruno Damiani does is hold up. And is it worth the money that we're paying him to just have him being a hold-up player? I just want to hear your thoughts, Ben, on what you saw from Damiani. It doesn't feel like he's dangerous enough to actually impact the match besides the things prior to getting to the box.
Yeah, I think Damiani would work best if he had someone like, I mean, if Olaski kind of dropped right underneath him so that he could because he always plays back to goal. So if he would just lay the ball off to Olaski, who could then, I guess, take a touch around the defender that's on Damiani's back. Yep. But yeah, at a point in the season, you're going to have to, as a striker, you have to put goals in the back of the net. And for Bruno Damiani, someone who's paid a lot of money on this team, he has to start scoring. And I think a lot of people expected a lot of him at the beginning of the season, but the fact that he's had very few chances in what's that now, eight games this season, it's been really rough and frustrating.
So if you look at for my match preview, I have one thing I keep track of is the shots on target. So we had 8 MLS matches, 2 CCC matches, both against Club America. So 10 matches total. Damiani has had 2 shots on target in those 10 matches. Aldo has had 0 shots on target in those 10 matches, just to give you some context. Cole mentions here Ty Bribo had a hat trick today. That's fantastic for him. Shaggy says Damiani sucks. I was beating the drum for the longest time, but that dude cannot finish. Mandy want to see Frankie do more set pieces and corners. Yeah, I again, Lasky and Frankie kind of split the duties today, but I want to see more of Frankie. I thought his first shot in particular on the set piece was great. We also had one set piece, Ben, you might have to correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we hit a one-man wall on one of the set pieces today? Okay.
Yeah, it was a Lasky.
It was a Lasky.
On that one, which, yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting, though, because the one really good, I guess, free kick we had this season was against Defense Force, where Olaski was right outside the box and scored. And now those are the free kicks he's giving to Frankie.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Mandy also mentions, think Bruno was meant to be a midfielder or even a center back for the physicality. Interesting comment there. I mean, listen, we expected him to score goals. He's doing basically everything besides that. Other comments coming on. Drew says, having 8 million, which is a lot for us between two strikers that don't score. Woof. Yeah, that's a very union. But I think what also, Ben, I think what frustrates me is the union rely very heavily on set pieces to get a scoring opportunity this season. Past seasons, maybe not. We had Kai Wagner, we had Ty Brebo, etc., even Jacob Glesnes. This season in particular, I feel like the only times we ever really have a chance to score is off a set piece. And they're really poor this year. But when I'm watching that first half, I'm thinking, like, we really need a prayer to score a goal. Now, granted, Laski's goal was pretty nice, but we look at Danley's opportunity in the second half. I know we're kind of bouncing between the halves, but when you see Danley's goal in the second half, it comes off a press. It comes off a fluky deflection. 9 out of 10 times, his deflection doesn't go into the back of the net. It did in this instance. But it very much feels like the Union are relying on the other teams to make a mistake to score goals rather than them actually generating anything on their own. And we saw that against DC. We saw that again tonight. Maybe, tonight the ball finally found the back of the net. But it's the same story, just different environment. I don't know if you feel the same way about me, but when I'm watching this game, I'm thinking like the Union are just kind of hoping something happens rather than able to create it on their own.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think there were times where, or there really weren't many chances where the Union actually had the ball and drove towards the net with urgency. I mean, this season in general, the big chance was in the second half. That kind of summed up all of this is when Danley won the ball on a great run through the midfield, and he played it to Damiani. It was a little bit behind Damiani. It wasn't the best pass. And then Damiani decided to, I guess, take the shot himself instead of playing it to Indy, which says a lot about where the team is at attacking-wise and for Damiani in general, because, I mean, that's what you want to see from a striker, though. You want to see the selfishness. He's someone who hasn't scored, but I just not being able to capitalize on something like that is just really rough.
See, that's the thing. So again, I went to Zed's tonight. Great time, by the way. I'm drinking right now a passion fruit punch, which is what I purchased at Zed's. But when that moment happened, one of the people I was talking to next to me at the bar was like, why isn't he just not able to get anything in the back of the net? But also, I think 9 out of 10 times the better play is to give the overlap and run an opportunity to score, and he just doesn't. And as RB says here, I'm pretty sure Damiani has blackmail on Carnell. There's no way he should be starting. Shaggy also adds here, what's frustrating is the Union don't spend, and the two big offensive signs they have been absolutely useless. And also in the first half in particular, they had 8 total shots, 1 shot on target. The second half was better. They had 4 total shots, 4 shots on target. So they were capitalizing on all their opportunities to score. But again, it's just the same song and dance. As I'm writing my notes down for the first half, I feel like I'm entering this show, repeating myself again and again and again. But they exit the first half with a goal. I do think we should highlight that. They do leave the first half with a 1-0 lead. I wanted to hear your thoughts on how Olaski finished that opportunity. I mean, for me, honestly, it was a pretty nice finish.
Yeah, I like the finish. I like the whole goal. I mean, that's the Union at their very best. It's the hold-up play from Damiani, which is what Carnell wants to see. Able to bring one of the central midfielders forward, Lukic, and with a great threaded through ball, and low and hard to the bottom corner. It's a quality Union goal. It's what the whole philosophy is, attack and transition. And that was the first moment the season that we've really seen a transition goal. So being able to end the half with something like that was huge for confidence. And yeah, that's definitely one of the biggest positives from this game.
We're talking about confidence too. I mean, how many times did we say in the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, Olaski doesn't look confident? Granted, his set pieces were pretty poor today, but now I think he's got 2 goals in the season, right? He has that weird header.
Yeah, it was also the first time we scored first in a game this season. So
it's funny. So when I did my match preview, one of the bets I've been focusing on have been the first goals. So the Union have given up the first goal in every single match except for today, including both matches against Club America. However, in 3 of the last 4 matches, Toronto FC have actually given up the first goal. And in the one match they didn't, it was technically an own goal from Cincinnati. So I was like, well, what's going to break first? Are the Union going to give up the goal first? Or is Toronto going to continue doing what they're doing? Surprisingly, Toronto actually now 4 out of 5 games have given up the first goal. So it's interesting to see the Union going up against somebody who has the same, I guess, issue and them going out on top. But a couple comments here I'll bring up really quick before we continue this conversation. I know there's a lot of talk about the Flyers. They're up currently right now 5-2, which is awesome. But Mandy adds here, none of the strikers are doing much. There's no need to compete with each other for a spot, and they've gotten so lax. And I do think that's a good point. I think there is very much an understood mindset of the Union have 2 strikers. They paid a lot of money for those 2 strikers. Neither of them are going to be replaced by Malik or Stosh when he comes up, or even Anello. I think Anello is very much a bench player, not a starter. And I'm a bit concerned that there's not real competition at the striker position. I think Michael Ua, who I've missed dearly this season, was a legitimate competition to take starting minutes, and he did take starting minutes at times. But Ben, I was kind of curious on your thought on Mandy's comment. Do you feel like the lack of competition up top could be really hurting Damiani and Alado's production?
To some degree, yes, but I also think it's really the lack of chemistry up top. I think that with 2 strikers, you're going to want to play them together as many times as you can. Obviously, Alado has not been performing well, so he's been dropped to the bench. But I think if you had your 2 strikers up there and you continue to build the chemistry, like we saw so often with Carranza, Ua, whoever it is, I think that helps. But yeah, right now there's not really a lack of competition. I mean, Anello's out injured. He should be back for Saturday, I believe.
I think so.
He was off the injury report. Yeah. But then you have Malik, who came in. I thought in general the timing of the subs was pretty poor.
Okay. Go on. I was going to ask you about that. So go on.
Yeah, for everything, I think. I guess we'll talk about that after. But I guess most of the subs could have been, I guess, changed and or brought on at a different time. But yeah, getting back to the question, there's not much competition, which, I mean, it's hard for Damiani. To some degree, if there's less competition, he should have the chances to hopefully find confidence. But I mean, some competition would push him to perhaps try to score and do better. So yeah, a little bit of both.
Well, I think it's also, I mean, I'm all about being fair with how we assess things. I think it's always been part of our MO with this show. We always try to be as fair as we possibly can. And I don't think Anello's gotten a fair shake. I think to start the season, he had some pretty poor performances, and I was pretty critical of him. I didn't think Anello was good enough. Then he gets a goal against Atlanta, which was actually a very nice finish. Then he has a grade 2 hamstring, and we really haven't seen enough of him to fairly judge him. But I do think when he comes back fully healthy, and I think Saturday is a great time for him to do that, I think he has an opportunity similar to Bueno. I think he has a chance to take some significant minutes. What we saw from Carnell tonight was interesting from a how he's approaching the Aldo situation. We saw Aldo have like a hiatus from the team for 1 week earlier this season. We saw a moment in Montreal where Aldo does not get the start. Aldo then gets rewarded against DC United with a start, but now he comes off the bench again today. So we see Carnell being very, despite the money put into Aldo, we see Carnell being very, I don't know what the word is for this, strategic with when he plays him or not, and rewarding him when he does do well and not rewarding him when he doesn't. But I'm interested to see how Anello responds to coming off an injury and having a legitimate chance to take a starting position. Because I think what you saw tonight was the team looked better with Danley. And as somebody mentions here in the comments, I lost it right now at this point. I'm going to try to scroll up real quick. Lord of Olympia actually joins us and says Danley played well, shows value of the quickness up top. Danley is a great example of how if you just put the right player in the right position, great things can happen. So, I mean, it's kind of a great segue to the second goal. The Union go up 2-0 in the 54th minute. Danley's press just is perfectly timed and gets an opportunity. But, Ben, did you see anything from Danley in particular in that 10 position where we've only seen him a couple times now, but in those couple times, he's had some production?
It's the work rate for me for Danley.
Yeah.
When you have Delasky there, he's not going to give you what Danley gives. Danley's he had moments where he would press all the way back to the goalkeeper, and it really just it impacted the game by moving it quicker. And I think the work rate gave us that second goal, which was huge. So I think the work rate is what he offers from the number 10 position. I thought his crosses out wide were pretty good as well. And yeah, I thought great game from Danley. And I like how versatile he is in the midfield.
I do think that Danley, he may not be, I don't think he's the best one-on-one with against an opponent. I don't think he's someone like Ilsinho or Quinn Sullivan who will take a player one-on-one, but he has a very nice touch with his feet. He has the speed as well. I mean, how many times have we seen Danley close down an opponent within a half a second, right? That's what makes him so dangerous. And as the comments have mentioned, Danley looks great. Drew Hartman also adds in a point here. From the highlights, Anello reminds me of Quinn, but we need to see it in play. He has the confidence to go 1v1, which we need. And on top of, to just kind of piggyback off the 1v1, I guess, approach, and as we said in the first half, this team relies so heavily on set pieces right now. It relies so heavily on the other team making a mistake. And we desperately need somebody who can take a player 1v1. Now, yes, Danley being in that 10 spot is nice, but he's still not that player who's going to do that. So maybe as time progresses, we'll see more of that from Danley. I do think that tonight was enough for Carnell to say, okay, let's continue with this approach. Let's continue with the same back four. Let's continue with Danley up top. If you want to keep Bruno starting, I don't agree with it, but so be it. Let's have him in there. Maybe Anello gets to start next to him. And then if Anello's available to start next to Bruno, Olaski gets slotted back into your 10 position and Danley's next to him. I think that is your ideal lineup right now. But talking about the lineup, I do want to mention Cole's comment here. I think people underestimate how hard adjusting to a new league is, which I agree with 100%. Sarri is finally adjusting. I give Anello some more time to evaluate him since he missed so much. But I do agree with Cole's comment about Sarri. In particular, I think he had the one block on the goal line to prevent a goal as well from Sarri Larson. So I want to hear your thoughts on Sarri. I do think he looks more comfortable. He definitely seems to be finding his footing next to Makania now with 4 consecutive starts on the same back line.
I thought Sarri was great.
Yeah.
I think that I tweeted this out. I think that he could still work on his passing range. Some of the passes are not exactly where he's aiming, but I think he's really improved to the style and speed of MLS. There was a lot of moments where he had good jumps, good reads on the ball. And I thought it was kind of his breakout game
Sure.
in the sense that he really felt like he belonged in MLS and could start to form that partnership with Makania. We even saw him get forward for a couple of chances towards the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Seri's really stepped into his role, and I think as of now, the back line should be set in stone. I think that's who the 4 starters should be.
I agree, and again, I think it goes back to the point that we mentioned last week. Fans expected a lot of Martinez. Fans expected a lot of out of Ndinga. The reality is they are not starter ready. They are very much depth pieces. This back 4, Westfield, Seri, Makanya, Nate, that is who you should expect to see moving forward. And as Mandy mentions here as well, Seri is looking much better and seems to have a calmness to him that's much needed. I think calmness is a great word. I think that, as Cole mentioned, getting used to a new league is difficult. But he looks more confident on the ball. And also, for the people who are watching this show and seeing comments pop up, Jose is somewhere behind us in the studio putting comments up. So I appreciate Jose hopping in back and forth, doing whatever he's doing with his MLS duties as well. But I mean, we're complimenting the the back 4. We should also be a little critical of the back 4 because the defensive performance tonight is also a reason why we left with a draw rather than a win. So the 56th minute comes around, Sargent gets a goal. Now, we talked, I know you, Ben, and I, Quentin, Jose, talked via text. Sargent was due for a goal. He's only had 1 goal and 1 assist so far in 5 MLS matches, both of which were against Colorado. He finally gets the opportunity today, and Saloy gets the assist. But I wanted to hear, Ben, your thoughts on Sargent's goal, because for me, that was what the Union don't have, is what Sargent was able to do with that opportunity. But go ahead there.
Yeah, I think the Sargent goal, it's everything you want from a striker. It's composed in the box, good quick touches out of his feet, and a great finish low and hard to the bottom corner. But I think it's too easy defensively from the Union. I mean, Makanya, before the season coming in, he had to take a big step up. And I think these are the moments where he has to follow the runner and make a block. If you watch the play back, it looks like Makanya and Nate just kind of watched Sargent go in between them. And Makanya didn't step over, really try to slide and put a foot out. So yeah, I think it's a bit easy. And I mean, take nothing away from the finish. It was a great finish. Blake maybe could have saved it, but I think the defense there from Makanya was pretty poor, in my opinion.
And I think it ties well with Lord of Olympia's comment where he says, agree, Mike, we pay a lot for depth, could have had an MLS proven defender. And I think what we've seen from other MLS clubs, I don't remember exactly which one it was right now. It might have been DC, it might have been Charlotte. I think it was Charlotte. They've added depth to their roster via MLS proven caliber players. And we just haven't seen that with the Union so far. Now, granted, Seri is starting to develop into that. But I think there is something to be said that there is talent available in MLS right now. And the Union very much don't do that. They just kind of try to find these hidden gems across whatever league they can find. Now, we did that briefly with Damian Lowe, Andres Pereira, Joaquin Torres as well. 2 of 3 of those didn't work out. But I mean, I even think about Kai Kamara, right? And this goes back a couple of years now. But when the Union got rid of Corey Burke and they moved on from Sergio Santos, the one thing we didn't do was get a third striker. And what I wanted back a couple of years ago was, well, Kai Kamara is just sitting there in free agency and nobody's picking him up. Why are you not bringing, as Lord of Olympia says, MLS proven talent, MLS proven defender? And I think that's what we're missing so far this season. But to your point, Ben, I see the Sargent goal go in. I'm thinking, like, why can't Bruno do that? Why can't Alado do that? Like, why do we not have that player? I think probably if you're looking at who could do that right now, Quinn could probably do that. Maybe Olaski, given enough space. I know he likes to take a lot of shots from outside the box. It doesn't feel like I have any confidence in any player to do exactly what Sargent did. And when he put that goal in the back of the net, it's like, that's why they paid him $22 million, to have those moments where he can take something from an okay opportunity and make it a great opportunity. But unfortunately, what the goal happens in the 56th minute, not long after the Toronto FC side make it 2-2. And Franklin, great pass from Cifuentes, and he just buried it off the post. Another opportunity where the Toronto side doesn't have the best chance, but their finish is clinical. Again, Ben, your thoughts on the Franklin goal there to make it 2-2?
it starts all the way up the field before with, I forget exactly who had the ball. I think it was Mon Louis, but Indy Vassilev pushed all the way up to the other side. And Mon Louis, I think, had a great through ball to Coelho, who took his space. And I immediately noticed this because I don't know why Indy was going to press all the way up there. It gave them the counter, and it ended up leading to Cifuentes getting the ball and having a great through ball to Franklin. Again, the Union back line kind of seems lost. No one really marked Franklin. It's a good pass, but the entire back line, when it gets kind of chaotic, the Union back line tends to panic and not mark anyone at all and just kind of stand there. And yeah, another great finish from Kobe Franklin. That's his second goal in 2 straight games. But great finish. I think the Union have to be more compact in that moment, the back line. I need to rewatch that one again to specifically see who, I guess it was Bueno or whoever was, I guess, in the midfield as well. But yeah, another great finish, and you could sense the goal was coming.
Yeah, you could. I think we saw this a bit with, I think it was Charlotte. You know, we're down 1-0, we make it 1-1, and then he suddenly turn it on. Right, there's a little switch that goes off, and we didn't see that with Montreal. Obviously, we didn't see that with DC whatsoever. But it definitely seems like when these teams have the opportunities and they have the talent to do so, they can turn it on against the Union very quickly. And I think that's what we saw against Charlotte. Again, like I said, that's what we saw again tonight. It's 2-0. We're thinking, great, this is an opportunity for the Union to really put together a really solid road win. Like, I mean, they struggled to win in Toronto to begin with, but to get a 2-0 lead on the road in the second half, you're great. And it just feels like Toronto was able to turn it on and the Union were not. A couple comments as well. Mandy says, at least the subs are coming earlier than what we saw from Jim Curtin, which is a fair assessment as well. But around when it's 2-2, we see a couple subs. We see Bedoya come on for Vassilev. We see Aldo come on for Bruno. Now, at this point, I don't disagree with the Bedoya sub because I think he's a better player than Vassilev. But I really was hoping to see Calvin in this opportunity. I know you mentioned the substitutions earlier, Ben. I wanted to hear your thoughts on those 2 subs in particular prior to Malik and Calvin coming on later on.
I think Indy, he was dealing with that injury he had from the first half. So we saw Bedoya warming up then. So I had an idea that he was going to come on. I don't necessarily mind that. I think Bedoya is great to come on when the opposition has a very attacking-minded fullback, and Toronto did with Richie Larea, who wants to get forward. So I think having an extra stability there is important. And then taking off Bruno as well for Alado. I guess that sub, they waited quite a while for that one, which I guess shows where Carnell values Alado in the squad and where he values the starters. I think the lineup, the guys who started, are the guys he trusts the most.
Right.
So, which is another reason why I think Bueno, Lukic, and Danley all slotted in. I would have liked to see some of the subs earlier. Possibly a couple minutes after we scored our second, or even after Toronto scored their first. I feel like you could sense something was coming. There's a lot of build up, and I think the Union really should have tried to, I guess, slow down the tempo of the game before Kobe Franklin scored the second. But that's getting to the Cavan and Malik subs. Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting thing because Bedoya was warming up and prepared to come in prior to the second goal. So the second goal was scored by Franklin in the 64th minute. Bedoya comes on in the 65th minute. But it was very obvious that with the 2-1 lead, Carnell wanted to go with Bedoya to provide that like Warren Creval type approach in terms of like have a smart person out there, get your defensive player who's also offensive minded, and just close this match out. And then the second goal happens. You're like, oh well, shit. Maybe we shouldn't put this sub in right now. So it was a weird timing with that substitution. But to your point, in terms of when the subs come on, Ezekiel Aldo replaces Bruno Damiani in the 79th minute, excuse me. So basically, towards the end of the game, a few minutes later, Kevin Sullivan replaces Milan Lasky, and Malik Jakupovic replaces Jovan Lukic in the 82nd minute. But again, prior to getting to the last two goals, which were chaotic, and we'll talk about those at length in a few moments, but it's 2-2 at this point. But to take a pause in this conversation, I see a few comments coming in that I really want to hear your perspective on. So Mandy, is it Mandy or Nichelle? Let me find the comment. So give me 1 second here. Bear with me as I find Nichelle's comment. I think I lost it. But essentially, they're talking about Andre Blake. And somebody mentioned how Andre Blake does not look as confident at this point. Here it is. Drew Hartman says, I don't think Blake is confident in what's in front of him, which other years was a very cohesive group. Do you agree with that comment? Do you think Andre Blake may not be looking as confident right now between the posts?
Yeah, I would say so. I think he hasn't stepped up. I think in the past couple games he has. I will give him credit. He was great in the past couple games, especially the Montreal one a couple weeks ago. But yeah, I think in years past we've seen Blake make some of these saves that he's not been able to. Like on Sargent's first goal, I think if that was 2021, 2022, I think he makes that save to keep the Union in it. I think. Yeah, I mean it's hard for a goalie. He is he's the captain, but it's hard when you have a completely new and inexperienced back line. I think more importantly, it's for Makanya and Seri to figure out, I guess, communication across the back line. And I think Blake's taken some of that responsibility off them. So I think there's been some nervy moments, like in the game, Makanya and Blake almost ran into each other in that one play in the second half. Yeah. And yeah, I think Blake's still Blake. He's bailed us out of situations before, but I do think it's been a rough start for him in particular this year.
I see Nichelle's comment. I couldn't find it. She mentions at first, anyone else worried about Blake, or am I just being silly? He doesn't look confident at all. And I think the Andre Blake conversation is very interesting. And it does mirror it a bit, the Alejandro Bedoya situation. And when I say that, I mean you have players who are Union Wall of Fame, Ring of Honor, whatever you want to call it, caliber players. Andre Blake in particular, maybe one of the best goalkeepers ever in MLS. He's certainly in the argument for what he's been the 3-time MLS goalkeeper of the year, right? He's certainly in the argument for one of the best goalkeepers we've ever seen. At the same time, Andre Blake is also 35 years old. Now, I say that as a 34-year-old. He's not that old, but, from a soccer standpoint, he's getting up there in age. And I think a lot of Union fans, and I think us in particular, are used to Andre Blake doing quote-unquote Andre Blake things. And the first thing I think of it, and Ben, I'm sure you remember this, there was a moment in Nashville at Geodis Park where Andre Blake has this incredible reflex. You remember? Yeah, I see you nodding your head. This amazing save, like in front of net, has no business saving it, but it's just an automatic reflex. But granted, he's 31 years old at that point, 32 years old. I think there is some validation that we're seeing from what Dave Miller said in our article before the season started about Andre Blake and Andrew Rick. Andre is not getting any younger, and there has to be a serious conversation about whether Andrew Rick starts seeing more time. I think before the season started, we were very high on Rick. I think a lot of people at this point expect to see Rick a bit more. Maybe we see him fully in Leagues Cup. We've seen him briefly in CONCACAF Champions Cup. I don't think Andre Blake's the main problem. I don't necessarily think it's a terrible idea to maybe give Andrew Rick some minutes. I don't know how you feel about this because, again, I think when Andre Blake is on, even at 35, he's still one of the top 10 keepers in the league.
Yeah.
But, go ahead. Yeah.
No. Yeah. I think it's difficult because right now, sorry, I'm just watching Daniel Gazdag just scored for Columbus right now.
Ty Baribo and Gazdag having goals of the same night is so Union, but go ahead.
Yeah, hat trick for Baribo too.
That's
So
crazy.
the fan base will have a lot of fun with that one. And yeah,
Mhm.
Gazdag just scored, which gives him confidence when we play them on the weekend. But yeah, for the question on Blake, I think it's difficult because right now the Union are in they're in a rut, and I think to get out of that, they need the leaders. And there's not many on this team. So I think Blake's has to play right now to kind of. I mean, it's an inexperienced back line. I think Rick should get more minutes, and I think he will pretty soon. He has better ball distribution than Blake, which is a huge positive. So, yeah, I think last year he had a really good, I think, secondary assist where he had it over the top to Quinn, who crossed it in. And I think it was maybe Baribo tapped it in against Columbus, actually. But yeah, I think Rick should get more minutes. But I think it's tough right now with the state the Union are in. Carnell's going with the guys who he trusts the most right now, and I think that's fair.
And I think not only does he trust those guys, I think to your point, and I think the conversation we've had the entire season, I think it's completely fair as well. There is a clear lack of leadership on this team. I think Alejandro Bedoya, great leader. Andre Blake, great leader. But the problem is Andre Blake's your goalkeeper, and he's further back in the formation. Alejandro Bedoya doesn't play a lot of minutes. You're very visibly missing that on-field other 10 position player leadership. And I think Jacob Glesson's provided that a lot last season and years prior, obviously. I think Kai Wagner held players accountable. I mean, even look at someone like Damian Lowe. When he had his moments on the field, he commanded that back line. To give Damian Lowe some credit, he was a very vocal defender. And I remember there was one moment where he like yelled at Leon Flock. I visibly remember that. And we don't have that this year. And I think that's one reason why, in particular, Andre Blake continues to see some significant time. Not because Andre Blake isn't playing well. I think he's playing fine overall. I agree with the comments as well, though. But I think that he does bring that leadership that we desperately need. And again, let me get to the comments because they're flooding in right now. It's a great conversation in the comments. I wish I could spend more time to read them all. But Rage Inc. mentions they only think about signing hidden gems, hoping they develop and sell them off. They signed to sell, not to win. Last year was truly lucky due to having so many proven vets. And Rage Inc., it's funny because, again, I went to Zed's. I spoke with Justin Freeberg who's the Sons of Ben president, and we were talking about this exact conversation and how your expectations for every single Union season is low because you just know that they're going to sell someone eventually. You know that they are not necessarily dedicated to winning as much as they are dedicated to filling their pockets. And as an article released today, and Jose or whoever might have to mention it in the comments where the article came from, but the Union are the 37th most valuable team in the entire world, which is just crazy to me. And one reason why is, to Rage Inc.'s point, they signed to sell, not to win, which I think is a super valid point. And if you're a fan, that's frustrating. A couple of the comments I'm going to bring up. Give me 1 second as I scroll down. Wolfie says Blake kind of scattered at the end there, hasn't been as clinical overall. Cole also agrees with your comment, Ben. Blake's distribution is not good either. Rake is much better, which we agree 100% there. Someone says Pira and Mithra says, are 2 points really worth losing your minds over as a Union fan here? And I think that's fair as well. I think if you took from an objective standpoint, when you look at the end of the season, you review each game, 1 point in Toronto is a positive. I think it's just when you look at the context behind it, you get frustrated with how they got to that point. So I don't disagree with you there, Pyro, but you should have walked away with 3 points here. Rage Inc. also adds here, Andre Blake has been given a lot more to do this year because those center mids do nothing but pass the ball back to him on a consistent basis, where Jack and Jacob never need to do that. Usually, other comments coming on about Daniel Gazdag and his goal. And then Price adds here, Blake makes too much money to give excuses. He is maybe our best player in our history, but we move on from older players making that money all the time, which is also super fair as well. Drew Hartman adds here, leaders are Frankie and Nate, it seems, which is scary because both are under 25 years old. But you're not wrong there, Drew. They certainly seem to be the vocal leaders. But again, a lot of great comments. I wish I could read them all. I can't. But the Union get the subs on. They end up getting a third goal, and it's off a really nice flick from Alejandro Bedoya, one of his staple moves. And Nate Harriel gets a goal. It's 3-2. Ben, I just want to hear your thoughts on the goal and how you're feeling in that moment when they get that 3-2 lead.
The goal comes off of a good press from the Union, but really a poor mistake from Toronto's defense that had to be played out for a corner. And then you can tell they practice it, bringing Bedoya in. It was a great ball in from Bueno, and the signature Bedoya flick at the near post run. And then, very happy to see Nate Harriel put the ball in the back of the net. And then you could see during the celebrations, they're pointing to their heads, trying to say, like, next 5 minutes, try not to concede. But yeah, I think in the moment it was a great goal. Going back to last year, Nate Harriel in that same building scored a goal off a header at almost the exact same time. I think it's 87th minute.
Yep, you're right.
So it's a great moment, but Toronto have been good at home comebacks. Just last week, 3-3 draw, and Union not able to hold on to another lead. Yeah.
Well, we saw this against Charlotte. You get the 1-1 goal, you tie it up. What was it, Ben? 2 minutes later, it's 2-1 Charlotte. It's realistically speaking almost the same exact thing tonight. You have the goal, you have the lead, you have a great opportunity, and you blow it. And I think that's what, again, something I discussed earlier this season, something I've discussed over the last couple of seasons. This team has lacked that killer mentality for quite some time. They've also lacked players who have that killer mentality. I think when you had that combination of Gazdag, Ua, and Carranza back in the 2022 season, they just were clinical in how they approach things, and they wanted to make sure they could score 4, 5, 6 goals per game. You don't have that, and you haven't had that for quite some time. But now in particular, you have a team that's young. I think, as Mandy mentions here, I love Nate, but he seems quiet and meek to fully take over the leadership role. And I think the lack of leadership is a reason why you're seeing these goals being conceded. You're seeing the goal against Charlotte. You're seeing the lack of finishing against DC. You're seeing what happened today. I mean, you have it. When did the third goal happen? Let me look really quick on Fatma. Maybe, Ben, you might have it quicker than me. But when did the Union score that third goal?
I think it was the 89th minute.
89th minute. So all you have to do is close things out, and they're just not there yet. They're not there. They can't do it. A couple comments as well that are coming in. Drew says the goal felt like a game winner, and they reacted as such to then give up a keeper header. Yeah, again, we'll talk about the keeper header in just a couple moments. Mandy says the 3 separate celebrations tell you everything you need to know about the team. No cohesion. We can't even celebrate together. That's a great comment right there. Michelle says, just like the freaking Continental Tire commercial, we will never hear the end of the goalie goal. Yeah, I can't look at Continental Tires the same way ever again, unfortunately. Lord of Olympia says, I was in 7th minute of 5 minute of injury time. The goal, 7th minute, 5 minute injury time as well. And Rage Inc. says, after Nate scores the goal, you're thinking the tide has finally turned and your ship gets sunk. That's a great comment as well. And it's also funny. Again, so it was a unique experience at Zed's. You have the Flyers game on, literally back side to side with the Union game. And there was in the first goal for the Union, they scored just seconds after the Flyers scored. I mean, it was a great moment in the bar. You're cheering for one team. The other team scores. It's a great opportunity. And you just like, you feel like the weird shift in the room as the game goes on, because everybody was so happy for the Flyers, but then the Union just disappointed us so much. But again, you're up 3-2. You have this late opportunity in the 6th minute of stoppage time. They have this goal from the goalie. I wanted to hear your thoughts on this, Ben, because I was just so disappointed, I think is the best word to say, for when it happened.
Yeah, I didn't even know what to say. I was just, I guess, very pissed off in the moment. But it all stems from these stupid fouls that they create right outside the box,
Right.
and then not being able to clear the ball. We've seen that many times this season that it's chaotic for them and they kind of panic. They
Mm-hmm.
can't clear it. No one wants to foul like right outside the box. So they end up, I guess, they end up fouling the guys. But if it's right outside the box, no one wants to put a foot in. But in this case, it's a recycled ball, and Luka Gavran just jumps first, and I mean it's poor on two fronts. If you rewatch the goal, Blake should not have come out for that one. If he's going to come out, he has to make contact with the ball.
Right.
He was in no man's land. The other thing is Alado. When you watch the goal back, I mean, after Blake was yelling at Alado, he did not even really challenge for the ball. He kind of just stood there and watched it happen, and he's had moments of, I guess, what some people would call laziness this year that led him to be dropped for a couple games. And I guess when you go watch this goal back, it's not a great moment for him. This is our club record signing. He's got to show that, I guess, he wants to play. And yeah, it's a That's So Union moment. It's like the most That's So Union moment of all time. I'm on the MLS 360 now, and it was the first goalkeeper goal since 2010 in MLS. And it was the third one in MLS history. So the Union always on the news for the wrong reasons.
That's so Union.
We still hold the record for the quickest goal in MLS history conceded as well.
Do you remember the Emboli clearance that led to that goal? Do you remember that moment?
Yes.
That was one of those moments I was like, that's so Union. I think Rice Emboli will always be someone that is remembered for that particular moment. Even Andrew Wenger walking the ball out of bounds, and you see that one fan from the meme, he's just like holding this. He's just so frustrated. This was very much one of those moments that felt so Union. I think it's disheartening to see it happen the way it happened.
Yeah.
Again, objectively speaking, you have the 1 point on the road in Toronto. It's a tough place to play. Also, really quick, Toronto has been playing well lately. And yeah. I think again, it's hard to be objective in the moment, which is totally valid. All the comments coming in, totally valid. I get it. Toronto loses their first 2 games of the season. They start the season with 3 road games because of the whole, I guess, Canadian thing, whatever. Montreal had the same situation. They win their final road game, and they end up going 6 unbeaten in a row, right? They score 3 against Austin. They've scored 2 or more goals in the last 3 or 4 games, whatever. This is a team that's playing really well, and they've played 5 consecutive games at home. This is a team that has really been in good form.
Yeah.
So again, objectively speaking, if the Union make the playoffs and the Union have a good push late in the season, you're thinking, well, at least he took a point in Toronto. But if the Union falls short of the playoff line and it's by 2 or 3 points, the first thing you're going to think of is probably home match against DC, the blowing point against Charlotte when you had the 1-1 draw, and you're probably going to think of this match. You're absolutely, especially if the Union miss it by a tiebreaker or 2 points, you're going to think of this match. And it's very much what reminds me of what Jose Nunez mentions. God, he's probably mentioned 5 fucking times at this point. Jose also always loves to mention in 2022 when the Union had the one-man advantage against the Red Bull and they blow the points and then they lose to Charlotte late in the season and they don't get the Supporters Shield and they end up having to go to LAFC for the MLS Cup. He always mentions how the Red Bulls game is one reason why they went to that moment. And this feels like very much one of those things where objectively, yeah, 1 point's great on the road, but when you look at the context, you really, really blew it tonight. And it just, again, I don't have any words. I had left Zeds about the 89th minute. 90th minute, and I only live 5 minutes away, and I watched the goal as I was walking into my house, Ben, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, I was ready to talk about the Union, excited. Like, I was excited. I had my beer. I was like happy. I just got home. I was really excited. And all of a sudden I get into my basement and I'm like, fuck. What? Well, how do I shift the energy now into something positive? And it's just difficult. It is. It's very difficult. And the Union end up conceding late, 3-3. They walk away with the draw, and now they go to Columbus. And Ben, what's the score in the Columbus game? I'm not even paying attention right now. What is that? What is that box score right now?
Yeah, it started late. It was delayed a couple hours.
Okay.
It's halftime 1-0 Columbus with the Gazda goal. And yeah, it's been all Columbus with what I've seen so far in the first half.
Now, from our conversation last week, I believe I mentioned to you 5 points between DC, Toronto, and Columbus was what I would feel comfortable with. Right now, we have 2. That means in my scenario, a win against Columbus is a must. With Nashville coming to town in May, in the first weekend of May, the Columbus match feels like a must win. I wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think it's also worth mentioning, though, the Nashville game is definitely going to be a tough game, but
yeah,
Nashville do have, I believe, their second leg of they're still in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So we could be seeing some rotation there, which could affect. We should be seeing some rotation from them there. But yeah, it's going to Columbus. It's going to be a hard place to play. They need to start churning out results. They've been pretty poor lately for their standards. But yeah, I wanted to mention when you go back what you just mentioned. The Union also blew the home opener to NYCFC.
Yeah. Oh, great point.
99th minute goal to Tavon Gray. So it's they've blown a lot of games here for points, and it's hard to feel that some of the players like Alado are bought into the system right now because the work rate's not been great. Like when you see the goalie goal again, he was just kind of standing there. But yeah, getting back to the point, it's going to be really tough to go to Columbus. They are playing the Galaxy right now, who are not great this season. But it now has to be a win. We're back to, I believe, second to bottom in the East. I think only Atlanta is below us, and it has to be a win. Otherwise, there's going to be some decisions that have to be made in the front office really soon, because at some point the results have to come, and it feels like just time and time again the Union collapse.
It does feel like, I like Carnell, and I say this very respectfully, it does feel like coaching is part of the reasons why they're not able to finish out these matches. And again, I can't bring the comments up because I'm not the one in the studio, so I want to read them to the side. Nichelle says, I threw a pillow at my TV regarding the third goal of the game. Manny says, Lily have had indigestion hiccups since the end of the match. Drew Hartman adds here, Alado was late again, not to practice this time. Nichelle, oh my God, the keeper from San Diego almost scored as well. So keepers are obviously having great opportunities. Lord of Olympia, at 6'4", Alado should show more muscle on that, which I agree with as well. Ben, a great question we'll come back to in a couple moments, but just something that I want to add, bring up real quick. If you could decide 3 transfers for the next window, who would you sell and buy? Could make a July comeback. I think Quinn should be almost back as well. Interesting comment. We'll get back to that in a second. Price says, does anyone know what Alado got the red for in the first game? He didn't get suspended by the league, so I don't know what it could have been. So it was offensive behavior, if I remember, Ben, correctly. Yeah, what dissent. Alado got, what was it?
Dissent. That's what they labeled it as.
Yeah, it was dissent and an offensive behavior. So he either said something to the ref or said something to the player that generated the red card. Price. But yeah, it wasn't much of anything. I mean, as someone who's played a bunch of sports, I've said a lot in my day as a player, and I'm sure I could have gotten taken out of the game for that. But for some reason, Aldo gets a red card there. A couple more comments as well. Let me see. Keep going. I'm trying to keep up here with the comments. Mandy says Nashville is so hot right now, too. Yeah, Nashville's going to smoke us 100%. Mandy also says apparently Gavron used to be a striker, according to MLS 360. Very interesting. Okay, great. Very good. Thank you for that comment. And then I think that's it for now. Again, there's a bunch coming in, so I'll try to, keep it short and sweet there. But the Union exit this game 3-3. They have Columbus on Saturday night, 7:30 p.m. Ben, we're at an hour now. So your final thoughts, sir, on tonight's game?
Yeah, I think Union get a Union, whatever. It's just total collapse again. Like I would have been happy with a point coming into the game, but I mean, when you see what happened, like conceding a goal to a goalie that it was just a poor defensive play. Like multiple of their goals, the defense just wasn't there. I mean, you have to think about what would happen if Harriel didn't save Zimmerman's header off the line.
Oh yeah,
and some other moments. Frankie Seri had last ditch tackles that Toronto could have scored on.
Yep.
I mean, we had chances as well, but the back line was all over the place. And the one final point I'd like to bring to, which is, I guess, the subs of Cavan and Malik Jakupovic.
We didn't even talk about that.
They combined for a total of 4 touches after coming on. Cavan Sullivan only had 1 touch of the ball, which in my opinion, which I guess it might upset a bit of fan base, but I think that if you're going to bring a guy like Cavan and Malik Jakupovic on in a game like this, it was way too late. I feel like,
yeah, I agree.
Honestly, I would have brought on Alado later for hold-up play. I think that the game kind of fit Toronto's style of back and forth, which is something we don't want to play in a track meet like that. And I think Cavan Sullivan and Malik Jakupovic aren't the types of guys to bring on in that moment to see out a game. I think they should be getting more minutes earlier on in the game, because Malik only had 3 touches and Cavan had 1 touch in 8 minutes. And when you're trying to see out a game after scoring that goal, the third goal from Harriel, I think it has to be better, and you need guys that like. That is when, I guess, in the past, I would come on. Even Chris Donovan, moments like that to run around, but also make an impact. And I feel like Cavan and Malik would have been better if they came on maybe the 70th minute, something like that. Just, I guess, something like that.
So a comment comes up. As Nichelle, I just want to say, my mother watches this show. So I apologize in advance, mother. I can't help it. So Nichelle mentions regarding Alado, he grabbed his crotch and called the other guy a cunt. That is what my seatmate told me. So appreciate the insight there regarding Alado's red card against DC. I think my final thought is the same frustration. I think, as Jillian Albany mentioned a couple weeks ago, the numbness that we feel regarding this team. And as Valerie mentions here on MLS 360 just now, they showed a replay and Aldo shrugs his shoulders after the goal as if to say, what just happened? I feel like we're getting more and more frustrated with this team's lack of effort. We're getting more and more frustrated by these record signings that really aren't doing what we saw Sargent do tonight, making that significant impact. We're getting frustrated by a team who feels like they have a good season and then constantly have a bad season, and have a good season and have a bad season. I mean, the comments tonight were fantastic. Truly, they really were. And as Nichelle says here, sorry, Mom, I'm a salty nurse. We hold nothing back, which I agree with. If you ask my mother, she'll tell you I have a pretty bad mouth. So no problem there at all. But we're frustrated as a fan base, and I don't know what's next at this point, Ben. There are some rumors going around that we might be going after the Monterrey sporting director in replacement of Ernst Tanner. Now, does that mean something significant came out of this investigation regarding his behavior? Not entirely sure. But there's rumors speculating. And it's just going to come down to the point, when does the front office finally make the push to get this team into relevancy every single season. I think that's what's frustrating the most for me as a fan, is that we enter each year not really knowing what to expect. We enter each year hoping that these diamonds in the rough end up being Kai Wagner, end up being Michael Ua, end up being Jesus Bueno. And it just, sometimes they are, and sometimes they're Davo. Sometimes they're Sexy Season with what was his name again? Who was Sexy Season, Ben?
Orovich.
Orovich, yeah. Sometimes they're Orovich, sometimes they're a Riasco. It's just such an inconsistent approach with this particular club, and it makes it frustrating. It really does. So again, the comments were fantastic tonight. I appreciate the emotion. I appreciate the intensity. Ben, great conversation as always. I appreciate your input tonight. This is Across the Pitch, typically on the AAT Sports Network tonight. Again, Todd Lewis allowing us to borrow the platform while our AAT Sports Network colleagues recorded a show for the Eagles. We'll be live again Saturday night, approximately 9:45, 10 p.m. We'll be discussing the Columbus match. You'll see my match preview coming out prior to the Columbus match as well. Again, if you're ever in South Jersey, hit me up. Let me know. We'll grab a beer at Zed's. Great place to go watch a game. Great place to go just, catch a beer and have a good conversation. But the Philadelphia Union fall tonight, or I guess draw tonight against Toronto 3-3, certainly feels like a loss. Have a great Saturday night, everybody. Appreciate the comments. Appreciate the support. Go Union. Oh, I need Jose to close me out. I can't finish until he... Ben, what do I do? I just realized I don't have control of the studio. Let me text Jose. Actually, Ben, as we procrastinate here before we can close things out, I'm gonna text Jose. Oh, it is Wednesday night. Oh my God! See, look, I'm off on my days. Jose, close us out, please. Give me 1 second here. There you go. So now we're stuck here. We're losing the free kick having this. So as Nichelle says, I love to root against Miami. Pyro says Atlanta are at the bottom and paid $10 million for Oleski. What's his name?
Moranchuk. And
yeah.
Loth, who's didn't even start today. He's 26 million, but they're Atlanta, and they lost today as well to New England. They're very bad, but
okay. Let me ask you a question. Since we're having to wait on Jose, so everybody's gonna be stuck with us now, Ben. At this point, what would you rather be? Would you rather be in a situation like the Union, who don't spend, who don't have an owner who are willing to spend, or Atlanta, who's willing to spend but have really fallen flat on their face?
Yeah, in that case, I'd rather be the Union. I'd be more mad if they spent. I don't really like, I guess, Atlanta's spending structure. I'm not big on spending high on one particular player. Like Toronto, if I was, I guess, managing a team, I'd spread out the wealth among multiple players. I think Toronto's a prime example because they've paid a ton of money to Sargent, and Mihailovic. But besides that, there's not that many other, I guess, players on there. Columbus just scored again, as I said. So they're at 2-0. Diego Rossi. But
who are they playing against again? Sorry.
The Galaxy.
The Galaxy. Now Klaus is hurt, isn't he?
Yeah, he's hurt. Joseph Paintsel isn't starting. But it's not good if Columbus can get going at home as well.
Drew Hartman adds here, new meaning to Union After Dark. You can't leave us, man. He says encore. Nichelle says you're trapped with us. We're literally trapped with you. If Ben and I leave the studio, the show will just keep recording. We're actually waiting on Jose to close us out. So at this point, you're just hearing extra content for the sake of seeing that. Also, Wolfie adds here, Barrera Cuda strikes again. Wolfie, I have been called a lot of things in my life. I'm not very tall for people who've met me in person, so I have been called everything in the book. Barrera Cuda is the most original nickname I think I've ever heard in my entire life, Wolfie. So congratulations on that. And by the way, Wolfie, if you're still watching the show, I think you and I are both mutual friends with William Webb, who's my tattoo artist. He does all my tattoos. So if you're friends with William, let him know I said hi. I got to go get a tattoo. For those who know me well, I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm about to get a Darth Maul tattoo at some point in the near future. So I got to text Bill my tattoo artist to get a tattoo. But Mandy says here, Jose is probably filling his glass and not looking at his phone. Yeah, we're basically at his whim at this point. Nichelle says, if it makes anyone feel better, my friend's coworker backed his moving van into a union owner's car, not named Sugarman. That's pretty unfortunate as well. Mandy says the full Darth Maul face for my tattoo. I'm not quite sure yet. I might get Darth Maul with the saber. There's a quote from a comic I might include as well. Ben, you're just hearing me riff at this point about just my personal life. Yeah, so it's going to be, I have a lot of tattoos, but I'm going to get it on this arm, my right arm right here, the tattoo. So that's where I'm going to get it. And Wolfie says here, yes, I worked for Bill before. He's a great artist. He is a great artist. He's a great tattoo. If anybody wants a great tattoo artist, go to see William Webb Evolution Tattoo in Mantua, New Jersey. That's where I go. Again, Jose, still waiting on him. Ben, how are you? Oh, you're in school, aren't you? At Tufts? Where are you at right now?
Yeah, I'm at Tufts.
There you go.
I have couple more weeks left. My dad and I are actually going to the Revolution versus Union game. So that's right when I finish up school. So I'll be here. I'll be there at Gillette. But
okay, you'll be at Gillette's. Oh, yeah, it's not far from you right now, right? Aren't you? Where's Tufts at?
Yeah, it's right outside Boston. So
there you go.
Pretty close. But yeah, I mean, it's a crazy day in MLS. There's 2 4-4 ties, a 4-1. You have the Union 3-3. A lot of crazy results. I mean, DC United scored 4 goals. Buriba a hat trick. So
yeah, let's look at the box score since we're just filling time at this point. For people who are watching or listening, thank you for sticking around. So let's get to MLS standings tonight. So we have Salt Lake and Miami are currently 0-0 in the 52nd minute. Columbus is up 2-0 against the Galaxy. LAFC and Colorado tied 0-0 in the 17th minute. Austin leading San Jose. By the way, San Jose, they've really had a nice start to the season. They are currently in second place in the West. They have 7 wins and 1 loss. I mean, they've really probably exceeded expectations under Bruce Arena right now. Again, Toronto 3-3 with Philly, NYCFC and Cincinnati 4-4, Orlando 4-1 win over Charlotte. That's a pretty significant win there. The Red Bulls 4-4 draw against DC United. New England 2-1 result against Atlanta. Minnesota 1-0 result against Dallas, and Houston 1-0 result against San Diego. But Ben, interesting. The Red Bulls, after losing 2 games to Montreal, by the way, have a 4-4 result against DC United. Have you watched the Red Bulls at all this year or no?
Yeah, I've seen a good amount of them. They've been good because it's similar to how the Union want to play. They used to play the same style. Now they operate with wingers. But they've been good. They show that you have veterans and surround them with young players, and it really works out for them. I mean, I didn't see any of the goals, but very weird game. It's like MLS After Dark, honestly. Red Bulls versus DC 4-4. I mean, I need to see how DC managed to score 4 goals in the game, but
it's funny how DC hasn't scored since March 14th, and suddenly they score 4 goals. Like, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I'm trying to saw one comment coming up saying, "Is Glesnes still injured?" Do you know if Glesnes is still injured?
Yeah, he was dealing with a calf injury. I think he's back.
Yeah,
just not starting this game. I think he's on the bench. I can.
Oh yeah, let's just look real quick.
No, he's not. But he's not. Yeah, he's not on the bench. But I think he should be back for the game. They have a game on Sunday.
I'm gonna look at the MLS injury report real quick since we really can't. I mean, Ben, if you want to go, I can just riff at this point by myself.
I'm good for a little longer. I'm just watching some of the games.
There you go. This is 11 o'clock p.m. on a Wednesday night type of approach. Thankfully, I don't have to be up early for work. So what are we talking about? Jacob Glesnes, right? LA Galaxy. So Jacob Glesnes was listed as questionable on today's MLS injury report. That comes back updated through match day 9. So it should be updated as of today. He's questionable. Oh, Mandy. Actually, you know what, Mandy, thank you for bringing this up. Did we ever discuss who we should sell in the transfer window? Is there anybody you would want to sell or?
I think. Well, I think the Union at some point will get rid of Bizo. I think
Still on the team.
maybe they'll use a buyout of his contract option that they have, but I think he's done at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the key piece they need to get is an attacking midfielder, which I said before the season.
Yep.
Because, I mean, most of his career he's been a striker, so giving him, I guess, free reins to be the playmaker is not necessarily ideal. Before Quinn comes back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the position most of need.
I think so as well. I think what you're seeing from the defense is they're keeping us in games. Now, granted, there's a lot of mental miscues. I think we saw that on display tonight. I think there's a lot of growth as well. We're seeing that from Akanya, still 21 years old, still trying to find his growth. Sari Larson, still trying to get himself into MLS. Obviously, Nate and Frankie are still relatively young players, not yet in their prime of their career. So I do think there are some things to be considered with on the defensive side. But this team is good enough and mature enough defensively that if you include an attacking midfielder that is of that quality, you're probably going to win some more MLS games. And I think if you have more creativity, you're probably not towards the bottom of the Eastern Conference right now. You're probably halfway, middle part of the Eastern Conference. At the very least, I think you probably walk out of this game with a win. Maybe against DC United, you probably have a win as well. I do agree. I think you have to go after attacking midfielder. You have to go after someone who's willing to get creative one-on-one. I think you have to go after even someone like Fafa Pikal, someone that we had on the Union not too long ago, a couple years ago at this point, probably 7 years ago. Someone who's also got a lot of pace and who can just darken the line and who can break down the defensive line and just stretch the defense out. We don't have that player right now. Was hoping Aldo was going to be that. Was hoping Bruno could do that. I guess not. And as Mandy says here, Fafa scored today too. So we have a bunch of former Union players scoring as well. But yeah, I also think that what we're seeing as well is the fact that Makani is probably going to get sold at some point, and that's why Sari Larson's in there. My concern is that Nathan Harriel's your backup center back. I think what his contract extension shows you is that they know that Nate's not going to go anywhere. He's probably not going to get sold, but Makani probably is. And as of right now, they need to make sure they can lock up a legitimate backup, and Nate is good enough. It also makes me feel like they're probably not that confident in Martinez as well, which is concerning. And if Mbaizo really is the forgotten man, you really don't have a legitimate right back in 2-3 seasons at this point. I don't know. I don't know if you're concerned with that as well, Ben, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure. I think I don't know. I prefer Harriel as a right back or left back. Just I don't think he's that good or as a center back. So yeah, I think he should be one of the outside backs, but yeah, I wanted the Union to go out and get a veteran center back this offseason. I think they need one. I think to them, a veteran is like Sari. I think he's the veteran. I think he's 25, 26. But yeah, I think Westfield's taken a big step forward as well at outside back.
I think so too. I think Frankie's another person that you probably think is probably sold by the time he's 24, 25 years old.
Yeah.
Have you watched any of Jack McGlynn, by the way?
This season, not much. He's been injured for the past month, honestly.
Has he? Oh, I didn't know that. What's wrong with Jack McGlynn? Do you know?
On the injury report, just his lower body, and it's been saying that he was questionable for the past 4 weeks, but he hasn't played in any of the games. So yeah, I guess I'm not exactly sure with what injury he's dealing with.
The whole Jack McGlynn situation was so odd because he's such a talented player, but he's very much not somebody who would fit into Carnell's system right now. As Valerie mentions as well, he didn't play tonight. But I can't imagine Carnell valuing him as a player. I mean, we see what happens with Kevin Sullivan, right? Like, Kevin is clearly a good player, can play 20, 30 minutes and make a contribution. He can't see any time, but he's probably a better presser than McGlynn was. And I just can't picture a world where McGlynn gets significant time in this particular rotation. I don't know if you agree with that, but that's how I feel, at least with Jack.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree with that. I definitely don't think he'd fit into this team, how we're going. So I think, yeah, when we sold him was actually a good time for both parties. Yeah, I think the Union have always been a team that's trying to find players that fit the system. So it makes sense to get rid of him. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the same thing we said about Daniel Goslock as well.
Mm-hmm.
It was just that time to go. Mandy says here he got hurt the same time as Quinn, then came back, got a great goal, got another knock. Drew Hartman, McGlynn set pieces. Yeah, I would love to see McGlynn take set pieces. The one-man block on the set piece tonight, where it hit the one-man wall. I feel like the Union hit a wall every single match on set pieces. It's unreal, man. I don't understand how these professional players can do this time and time again, but I don't know. It is what it is. As Manny says here, right now it doesn't feel like we have a system. Michelle also adds Orlando's in 12th right now. We are back down to 14. So we actually have live stand-ins here. So Nashville's in first place. Inter Miami is in second. New England's actually had a pretty good start to the season. They're 5-3 right now. They have no draws. They're 5 wins and 3 losses. Chicago's in 4th. Charlotte's in 5th. Toronto's in 6th. NYCFC, Red Bulls, and Columbus currently, as of right now, filling the 9th spot in the playoff picture. Then it's DC United, Cincinnati in 11th place, Orlando, Montreal, Philly, and Atlanta United. Ben, how long release you give Pat Noonan out in Cincinnati?
Not much longer. They got a late draw today. It's different for them because they spend a lot more money than the Union do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Evander and Denke probably cost around 35-40 million combined. They're another point for them, but they're at 11th, but it's not been good. I think I saw a tweet that their roster building's been really poor with their center backs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Miles Robinson has a DP contract for them, and he's been out. Matt Miazga as well has been out for a while. So I think, I'm looking at Cincinnati's schedule. They have home game on the weekend against Red Bulls, and then it's a really hard schedule for them. They go home Red Bulls, and they're away to Chicago and Charlotte, and then home to Miami and away to San Diego. So,
jeez, that is tough.
Yeah, I think that he needs to get some results in those games, though.
I agree. By the way, speaking of games and upcoming matches, are you going to any World Cup match, Ben?
Yes,
you are.
My dad and I got tickets to the Brazil Haiti game, so I'll be wearing my Danley jersey.
You know what's funny? So I went on to the FIFA website, whatever. I tried to find a Haiti Danley kit, and I can't find one. I don't think Haiti has kits that are available. And I imagine you're wearing a Union Danley kit, right?
Yeah. They're at them. I look. They have a weird sponsor, so you have to buy it through whatever site they have. I think
for their kit.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure, but yeah.
So I've told people before, June 19th, which is the game that you're going to, Brazil and Haiti. I'm going to be there bright and early, 10 o'clock in the morning, whatever it is. I'm just going to be drinking all day. I'm not going to a game for the World Cup. I'm just going to go there to enjoy the vibe. So, Ben, you might see me in the parking lot. I may not remember seeing you in the parking lot if I see you, because I'm probably going to be drinking all day. But for people who are going, I think the tailgates are going to be great. I mean, we saw what the Club World Cup had to offer in Philly. Obviously, Philly is doing a great job in terms of just trying to make sure people can get home for cheap. We see the stuff happening in North Jersey, just was it $100 tickets or $100 for a ticket. I think it was in Boston too as well. Maybe I forget what was the other location. I can't remember right now. But yeah, I'm jealous that you are going to see a match. That's pretty exciting. You're going to see a pretty legitimate match.
Yeah.
Brazil and Haiti is going to be a fun time.
Yeah, and I'm excited for it. I'll be rooting for Danley there. So yeah.
Yeah, Jillian also is here in the comments saying, I got Curacao and Ivory Coast. Jillian, if you can like text Todd or Jose to close the show up, because I think if we leave, it'll still be recording. So it's just going to be X amount of time. Nothing go. At this point, we're just trying to fill the air here. Mandy says, because the games aren't selling out, I honestly wait till last minute to snag them as prices drop. Yeah, I might try to do that last minute. Nichelle says, I went to go to Haiti versus Brazil. I'm going to try for I want to go to Haiti versus Brazil. I'm going to try for last minute as well. Yeah, Ben, that's a great opportunity to go. I would love to get a Haitian Danley kit if I could. For those of you who have been following me on Twitter all in the off season, I got a Kai Wagner Birmingham City kit, which I'm wearing right now. I got the UA FC Michelin kit, and I got the Stuart Findlay Hearts kit. I kind of want to get a Dono kit, Ben, for Louisville. It's like the purple one. It's such a shitty kit to get, but I kind of want to get one. That'd be great. And as Jillian Albany mentions here in the comments, Stu, yeah, I know we have the Stu Finley kit, which is awesome. But this is across the pitch on the free kick. We're just hanging on for dear life. Again, I guess we can both sign off and hopefully it cuts out. I don't know, Ben, if that's the approach you want to get. You know, we can try.
Whatever, yeah.
Did we just close it out at this point? Yeah. All right. So we're gonna try this. We're gonna close out. It's 11:15. I know Ben and I are both really tired. We try to hold on for as long as we can. It's an hour and a half. So we're gonna close out now. If it continues to record, I'm so sorry, Todd. We tried our best, but Ben, are you good to go?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. I appreciate everybody hopping on. Have a great night, everybody. Go Union.